Talking F1 with Steve, Neil and the Gov. Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your Talking Formula One. It is Wednesday, it is 7:44, coming up to 7:45, and we're here just to discuss all things Formula One for the next, 15, 20 minutes. So if you're a Formula One fan, do please get involved. You can get involved live one of two ways, of course. The first way is through the live chat, and the second way is by appearing on the show. If you've got something you want to say, just say link or I've got something to say, and we'll get a link to you some way, somehow. Or of course, if you're watching this back on catch up, you can of course leave a comment in the comment section. And if you're listening on audio platforms, welcome in. I hope it is everything you want and more. Please do leave that 5-star review. We'll go live for about 15 minutes, I would have said, this evening. We're going to look back at, and this is something that Steve has titled for the agenda, Max Verstappen Masterclass. We've got McLaren, Binotto. Is he the right man to be leading Ferrari forward? And we'll try and do a look ahead to Monza as well. So as always, do hit the subscribe button if you're new here. We do F1 every week, normally for about half an hour. But in this instance, going to be a little bit shorter. It was going to kick off at 7:15. Didn't kick off at 7:15 because Neil's got a power cut, so he won't be joining us. I wasn't going to be in the chair. It was going to be Steve and Neil themselves. So anyway, a whole different manner of things going on. But yeah, a whole different manner of things going on is basically the way I would probably describe it. And we've got a new livery for Monza from Ferrari. Has anybody seen this? Ferrari have had a special livery for their home race this weekend at Monza with splashes of 75 years. I'm going to try and get it on the screen if I can. If you're listening on audio platforms, I do apologize, but obviously you won't be able to see it. But this is the new... Not the new livery. It is the new livery, but it's not the regular livery. Just for Monza this weekend. Splashes of anniversary. Obviously, it's their home race. Let's grab the thoughts of Steve. What does he make of the new livery? The aficionado, Stephen Thompson.
No, I think Bottas he'll be the one to really hold out.
Stephen, good afternoon, good evening. How are you?
Evening, I'm very well. How are you?
Good man. Yes, I'm very well. Just been telling the viewers, whether they live or catch up, what our situation was and why. We're probably going to do about 15 minutes tonight. But we were keen to get something down despite Neil's electricity, Wi-Fi, whichever one it was, not working. But this is the anniversary livery from Ferrari. What are your thoughts on that, man?
That is tasty. They've been teasing something for a couple of days, for at least a day. I was seeing a lot of yellow leaked. I had a bit of apprehension and a bit of nervousness that the entire car would be yellow. Ferrari say that yellow is their secondary color. Obviously, it is the main color of their badge. But
75 years of history it's celebrating.
75 years of Ferrari. It was on Enzo Ferrari's first car, apparently.
Really?
I love it. It's kept the sort of, obviously, the Ferrari red that we all know and we all love. And then it's just the engine covers yellow and a couple of other little accents. I like it. It's
nice. It's
not too garish. It's not too... it's a fine line between not garish and not subtle. I like it.
Okay, you like it? All right. Metal Jace is not too sure if he likes it, to be honest.
Okay. It is going to divide opinion.
Absolutely, it will. But it's a one-off race, though, isn't it? It's just for Monza, their home race. And let's start with Ferrari. I mentioned at the top of the show, the agenda item you titled was, "Is Binotto the right man to lead Ferrari forward?" Is he the right man to lead Ferrari forward, in your opinion?
I don't think so.
Okay. Why?
Again, he's probably another guy that divides opinion, and we only see what he's like on TV and in public. He might be completely different behind closed doors, but I think he's just too passive, maybe a bit. He needs that sort of assertiveness. If you're going to be team principal of the most successful and most famous team in Formula One, you need some assertiveness. And it's just one thing that concerned me after the Dutch Grand Prix.
Yep.
because Carlos Sainz had the issue with his tyre in that he came into the pits and Ferrari only had 3 tyres out for him. Like they were expecting some kind of Reliant Robin in the pits.
Yep. Del Boy to rock up.
Yes, yeah.
So those sort of things must never happen under any circumstances.
This is the thing. You never see strategic and pit stop errors from Red Bull. You rarely see them from Mercedes. Obviously, we have done. We did see it at the Dutch Grand Prix.
Yeah.
But this is an all too common thing for Ferrari. And Binotto, after the race, said he wasn't as concerned about that as he was for their lack of pace. And I think that's a bit like saying, I'm not worried about this problem, but we're going to deal with this problem. It's like, you've still got 2 problems to deal with.
You've still got 2 problems to deal with, yeah.
They are as important as each other, because even if your car is not as quick as the Red Bull, which it wasn't, at least give him a good pit stop so he can then be able to fight higher positions. If you're not going to get the win, fight for 2nd or 3rd. You've now given him 6th at best,
How was the Dutch Grand Prix for Ferrari as a whole? Then, because they've had the strategy issues for the whole season. That's not a new thing.
Personally, I enjoyed it. I think the racing was good. It's a fun little circuit. I quite like it. You had the usual stuff. The incredible turnout for Max Verstappen. The whole thing was sold out all weekend. The support was fantastic. Orange flares after the race. By the way, idiot who threw the flare on the track during a live session. What is wrong with you? You've brought a live flare in and you've thrown it on the circuit.
Yeah, not good. In the slightest. No, I completely. You can't condone that sort of.
Should be banned from Formula One. Anyway, the race itself absolutely fantastic. A little bit dull in places, but obviously it all spiced up with the safety car. Max absolutely nailed his safety car restart. That was he timed that to perfection. Obviously, he had Lewis on the radio as well, questioning strategies and saying that he couldn't believe the team screwed him. Very unlike Lewis to be that outspoken on the radio, but I think it was their best chance of a victory for quite some time that had just gone out the window. So you do feel for him a little bit. But
just reading the comments from head of racing strategy in regards to that pit stop. The pit stop call usually has 2 factors: one for the driver and the other one for our call crew. The call to the driver in this case came at the right time. Carlos had no problem coming into the box. He knew he was coming in. He had enough time to make the pit lane. The call to the pit crew usually comes around 23 to 24 seconds before the pit. But in this case, because we were reacting to Perez, it came later. It only gave our pit crew 17 seconds to react.
There's apparently, I didn't actually know this before the race, but there's a part of the circuit the driver has to get to for it all to be confirmed and for the engineers to tell the mechanics that so-and-so is coming in for this pit stop.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I didn't know that before this weekend, so that's good to know. But obviously he would have got to that point and then they would have still said, no, we don't know where he was coming in. And it's yet another blunder on this increasing list of errors and problems for
10 seconds he was left in his car, which in Formula One time might as well just be an hour.
That's 12-second pit stop. The guys around him, you're looking at about 3 seconds, so you've had 4 pit stops.
He was in his car 10 seconds more than the driver. That's a long time. 10 seconds.
That is a long time, and considering this is, they're not a young team. They're not like this is their first season. This is Ferrari. This is a team that obviously personnel changes, but they have been in a team since day one. Yeah, they know how to win. Well, the old Ferrari knew how to win. They knew how to get a good strategy.
How do you think they're going to do this weekend? Home race.
Oh, I really want them to do well. Obviously, I'm a Williams fan, but I love Ferrari. I love Charles Leclerc. I really want them to do well. But all that hope and positivity that I had at the start of the season of Ferrari finally getting themselves back into this championship has just been beaten out of me over the season. With this constant mechanical failures, technical issues, strategic problems, personnel problems, Red Bull building an absolute rocket ship. I can't see them fighting for the win. I'd love getting a podium is the least they can expect.
Yeah.
If they can get a victory, I would absolutely love it. It would be insane, but it's unfortunately, I think it's too little, too late now.
Okay.
With how this season is
Too
gone.
little, too late. That's a great song about, from JoJo. It's all just a little too late.
I still love it, don't get me wrong.
Darrow, thoughts on the situation with Yuki, seen a lot of conspiracy theories rumoured.
Oh, yeah. Lots of tinfoil hats. Basically, Yuki Tsunoda, obviously, he's an AlphaTauri driver. AlphaTauri are the sister team of Red Bull. They're owned by the same company. The race was quite dull, I suppose, up until Yuki Tsunoda comes in for a stop. Then he pulls over at the side of the track, saying one of his tyres isn't fitted properly. So he's sitting by the side of the track for a while, and then he loosens his belt because he thinks, that's it, my race is done. But then the team say, people in the chat probably already know this, but I'm going to run through it anyway.
Yeah, please do, because I don't know what you're talking about.
Teams say, oh, no, the tyres are fine, carry on. So he then carries on. He just pulls over, off he goes, he starts again. But he has to come into the pits because he's undone his belt and he can't get his belt back. And there's still something wrong with the car. So he comes into the pits. There's engineers reaching into his cockpit. He's got 2 or 3 engineers all reaching around him, trying to do his belts back up. They change tyres again, put him on, I want to say soft tyres. If someone knows otherwise, do correct me. They send him out again, and he says, no, something is still wrong. And they then tell him to pull over at the side of the track and retire the car. It's basically a diff problem, so they reckon, at the rear of the car, which is what seems to be the issue. Mm-hmm. But because this is a Red Bull junior, well, it was a junior team, they now view it as more of a sister team to Red Bull. There's all these conspiracy theories that to get Max Verstappen the win, they had to do this and throw the race effectively by getting Yuki to bring out a safety car to enable Max Verstappen to pit, get fresh tyres and have a go at the end of the race. And it is just such a load of crap. It really is. Like, all these conspiracy theories, it's easy to get found out for a conspiracy theory in Formula One. You've got to look back to Crashgate in 2008 with Renault, Nelson Piquet crashing on purpose to enable his teammate Fernando Alonso to win the race. Long-standing F1 fans will remember that. I do. It was painful. Why would they risk getting found out? They've got a 90-point lead, or they had at that point, a 90-point lead in the championship over Charles Leclerc and obviously even bigger over Ferrari. Why would they risk that? It's just such a load of rubbish. It really is. Everyone's saying, they're telling Yuki this to guarantee Max a win. And, just take off the tinfoil hats, put them aside.
Put the conspiracy theories aside. That there was something wrong with whatever was, or a misreading or something. Yeah.
There was a genuine fault there. Something went wrong with that AlphaTauri. It looks like it was diff. And Hannah Schmitz, Red Bull, on the Red Bull strategy ball, insane strategy from Hannah Schmitz. Absolutely nailed it. Max Verstappen ran away with it. Caught past Lewis. Brilliant.
You called it the masterclass from Verstappen. So talk me through his actual. Why was it a masterclass from the man on home soil? Is that right?
Yeah, it was his home Grand Prix, the Dutch Grand Prix.
Or home tarmac.
Home tarmac, home soil. Apart from a gearbox issue in FP1, which sidelined him for a while, he was on fire that entire weekend. Pole position in what was a really, really close qualifying session as well. You had the likes of Verstappen, Perez, the 2 Ferraris, really close. And the Mercedes as well. The Mercedes were looking very, very quick until Perez spun. Another conspiracy theory from Mercedes fans saying that Perez spun on purpose.
Of course he did.
There's so many tinfoil hats flying around this weekend.
He did.
He put it on pole position and he was just solid. He didn't put a foot wrong. It was just typical weekend we've come to expect from Max Verstappen. And there's one hand and 2 or 3 digits on that second World Championship now. This was just flawless from him all weekend.
There we go. Max Verstappen, it's not even a contest anymore, is it? It's done, dusted, signed, sealed, delivered, is it not?
Yeah. There's no way. Well, there are ways that Charles Leclerc can still win this for Ferrari. But he'd have to win most of the races. Max would have to score 0 points. This is, even Charles Leclerc is saying, look, it's going to be difficult.
It's not happening. It's not happening. It's not happening. It's all. I think that harks back to the end of last season, doesn't it?
That's nothing to do with Max being a cheat. Max did not cheat in any way.
No, he's a world champion officially, and that's it's That's the
It
way it
wasn't
is.
his fault. There was a dodgy call at the end of the race. But there
Wasn't
we
his?
go.
No. You drive the cards you've been dealt. Both drivers felt the same way. You know, whether you were one side or not. I'd be keen to. I mean, he says here 3 messages above. Big fan of F1 and a big Lewis fan. So
If you're
understandably,
a Lewis Hamilton
if
fan,
you're a Lewis Hamilton fan, you weren't going to. You're still going to be a
you
bit
can
salty.
understand.
Although we are nearly at the end of another season, Steve, so we need to be moving it on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I can understand why you'd be annoyed because, for all accounts and purposes, Lewis had that championship won. He was so far ahead of Max. I don't want to keep talking about last year. It was like you say, it's almost a year ago. It's like going back to previous titles and saying, "Oh, this was done wrong." There's no point doing it now. But obviously, yeah, if you're a Lewis Hamilton fan, I can get why you're going to be aggrieved. But at the end of the day, Max did nothing wrong. He drove the best race he possibly could with the car he had at the time. It wasn't as quick as the Mercedes. There was an error, which is obvious now. And he took advantage of it and he won the championship. It's nothing to do with him being a cheat. He's not a cheat at all, you know. But it was almost a year ago and he has had such an incredible season. He's barely put a foot wrong this year. So I can understand the PTSD thing because I still get PTSD over Felipe Massa in 2008 because I was a Massa fan. But
absolutely. Talking to Lewis, would he have won this weekend's race or last weekend's race now with a better strategy?
Lewis, I reckon so. Yeah, because he was rapid. You know, he was setting purple sectors. He was setting fastest laps. And George was, I mean, a fair play to George. You know, he said he knew his tyres would go and he said, let's box for softs. Hamilton could have made that call, chose not to. The team could have made that call, you know, but Hamilton was so quick that weekend or, last race. I reckon he could have won, but we'll never know now. It's the benefit of hindsight. But yeah, I'm still confident Mercedes will get a win this year. Because they're dragging themselves back into this.
We need £2, Metal Jace. No, thank you, Metal Jace. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
A member here
at
Talking Town. We do need it because the stats tell us, isn't it? No, he hasn't gone through a season yet without at least winning one race.
That's it. What an incredible stat! I mean, even if you're not a Lewis Hamilton fan, he's been in F1 since 2007. He's won at least one race every year, even in the 2009 McLaren, which was a dog of a car, and he's dragged it to race wins. You know, the 2013 Mercedes wasn't brilliant, and he got a win or two. So, yeah, if it would be strange if he goes through a season without winning.
We need him to, man. I don't want him to lose that record. That's an incredible record. It really is. But this was arguably his best chance, though, Steve. Car was suited for this track.
It was one of the best chances, I think. I think there are some other circuits that could really play into Mercedes' hands. Suzuka is a nice one.
Okay.
You've also got Singapore, which is good on the downforce side of it, less dependent on the straight line speed, which could be Ferrari's best chance to win because their car is quite draggy in comparison to the Red Bull, which is quite slippery in a straight line.
Yeah.
So there are other chances. Obviously, Brazil last year, Hamilton was insane last year, back of the grid to a win. How often does that happen? If you're not
rarely,
a Hamilton fan, you got to admit that was a good drive.
That was no matter what fan you are, you have to notice that Max has been untouchable this season. Red Bull has pulled this off big time. Hats off to them. And Metal Jace agrees. Mercedes will win a race this season.
Yeah. I mean, I've made no secret. I've been supporting Charles Leclerc this season. I'm quite fortunate that I like Verstappen and Leclerc, so I can't really lose. But out of the two, I'd want to see Leclerc because I like seeing different people win championships. But Verstappen has just been insane. He's done everything right. He's been given it was a dodgy car at the start of the season, but Red Bull have pulled a blinder there, sorted the reliability out. Max has just been on another level, especially in Belgium. It's just in a world of his own.
So time's run away with us a little bit. So let's sort of have a quick look at Monza. Is it this Sunday or the Sunday after?
Yeah, this Sunday.
Boom.
Yeah.
Tell me, what can we expect from the Monza track?
I think the one thing you can really expect is an insane turnout and a brilliant atmosphere. The Ferrari fans, obviously the Tifosi will be there in huge numbers. and it's going to be one hell of an atmosphere, you know. So Ferrari, are running a special livery. I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
Yep, we've seen that start the show. Looks
you
good.
could see different cars push a little bit further ahead, so cars that maybe work better in a straight line. Williams, for example, I'm not expecting miracles, to be honest. But I know what to expect from my team now. But the car's good in a straight line, so we could see them fighting for points. The midfield could be closer. You could see Ferrari pull a blinder out and actually do a race with a good strategy. But
who's your top 5?
Top 5?
No, top 3. Top 5's too easy.
Top 3. Top 3, I'm going to go Verstappen, Leclerc, and Russell.
Oh, okay. You're liking Russell at the moment. Well, you've always liked him, but
I've always loved George.
You're particularly liking him in this car, aren't you?
Yeah, this is brilliant. He's only had one race when he's been outside the top 5, and typically that was his home Grand Prix.
Has he?
Yeah. It's one race out of the top 5. That was
isn't that always the way?
It was I think it was more his fault, but rough with the smooth. He's had a bloody good season, and I think he's proving why he deserves that shot in a Mercedes. People were saying, "Oh, he'll come in." It'll be interesting to see how he stacks up against Lewis.
Yeah,
I didn't expect him to do this well against Lewis.
He has done phenomenally well, hasn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. That's top 3. I like it. Sports analysts and I think Jacob and Metal Jason talking about Mercedes and Max Verstappen and whatnot. I'm sorry it's not been sort of the show we planned, but I really do thank you for coming and joining me, Steve. And I'm really sorry, obviously, we haven't managed to do the full sort of 30 and do the full talking points. But
I'm always happy to talk about Formula 1.
Oh, I know. Well, and so am I. Well, I said at the start of the show, I wasn't going to be on today's show. It was going to be you and Neil. So sort of a last minute thrust onto the pitch because, in football terms, or in driving terms, Neil's found a puncture in his tyre. So I hope I did you proud. I was literally, as you were talking, looking up Formula 1 reports and things like that. But
absolutely.
Lead us out, my man. Don't tell them where they'll find us again next week because we're going to obviously have a backstage discussion about that. But lead us out in the best way that you can.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for watching. I love seeing you all getting involved. Love seeing the comments, the opinions coming through, opinions of what drives us, I suppose. We love the different opinions. You can actually also follow us now. We are live on Twitter, Talking F1 Fans. So please do head over if you are on Twitter. Give us a follow. Chat to us, get involved. We always love your opinions and your views. You'll catch us next week at some point. Like I say, we'll be discussing about that and it will be out soon. Enjoy the Italian Grand Prix. Hopefully it'll be a memorable one and one we can remember for a long, long time. So we shall see you next week.
See you all next week. And you never know, you might have somebody else on the show, sports analyst. He says, get me on BF1 Fan. So watch this space.